Yeah, don't worry, I'm as confused as you are with the title and the thumbnail of this video. So I'm recording this one the night of Sunday, April 11th, after all of the trade videos that we made because, by goodness, there were so many important trades. So this video is not going to go over anything trade rumor or any news of potential moves and all that because I'm going to wake up early tomorrow to actually go ahead and try to cover that as it happens instead of waking up 3 hours later and having to catch up on everything. But as a result, we still have to make some videos for the day, just planned out just in case, and this will be one of them. This does not relate to any of the trades, but it is a Canucks and Habs related video. Not even really Canucks, it's just Canucks because there's a Canuck guy that's brought up here. But of course, before we get things underway, thank you to those in the previous Canucks and Habs video who commented Jack Hughes in the comments. Stick around to the end of this one for a chance to be featured in the next Canadiens and or Canucks video. I guess we'll do 2 different keywords for this one, just for those who want to get their chops in and have double their chances. So today's video talks about Shea Weber and what exactly the problem is with Shea Weber. I'm pulling this from an article on TVA Sports that I saw because obviously with a title like that, you've got me hooked in right away. And reading through it, it was really interesting just seeing some of the quotes in here from hockey people and hockey players specifically, and just the overall conversations that are held about Shea Weber in the context of the Montreal organization right now. The article talks about Antoine Roussel, because of course it does. Roussel has been on French media throughout the past few weeks. We've seen a few comments made by this guy who is obviously a Vancouver Canuck athlete right now. When he made those comments talking about how he feels like Montreal is the best in the division and how Vancouver is not, Canucks fans were really salty about that because of course they were. Why is our own guy coming onto Montreal television talking about how the Montreal team is so good and how his own team is not really all too great? That's kind of weird, isn't it? But nevertheless, Antoine Roussel, as a French guy, does indeed make guest appearances on the French-speaking news outlets in Montreal, and in terms of their hockey conversations, he does provide some input. So there is a conversation about Shea Weber at the beginning. This is what Antoine Roussel says to kick off this article, the problem with Shea Weber, right off the top. At some point, if you're not dumb, you have to know how to assess yourself and recognize when it's time to give up some ice time. Shea Weber is a smart, humble guy. It's not the end of the world to have him played on the second line. Those were the words of Antoine Roussel, a Vancouver Canucks forward who has faced Shea Weber 9 times this year. Now, Shea Weber has been a pretty hot topic amongst Montreal Canadiens fans over the past few months, mostly because even though he is their captain and he is in that position where he is quite literally at the top of the food chain when it comes to Canadiens on the ice, he's a guy who's out there at 34 years old, still getting played over 20 minutes a night in, night out. Even though he is not the most offensively productive guy on the team, that's Jeff Petrie with 29 points in 38 games to Shea Weber's 17, even though he's not the fastest defender on the team, I don't think that point is difficult to understand. And as he gets older, one may ask how exactly is that decline going to come, because he is 35 and his contract takes him until 2026 where he will be 41 years old. If you don't like Weber now, then imagine Weber at 41. Still getting minutes? Who knows? This article kicks things off talking about how Shea Weber sometimes shows more signs of vulnerability this season than he has before. Defensively, the defenseman has had his share of trouble. Offensively, he's not really producing once in a while. Sure, he's gotten better recently, but there still is an argument to be made as to what exactly Weber should be held responsible for in the next few seasons. That's where they bring in Antoine Roussel, who comes in and he talks about how useful Shea Weber can be and how good he is still. He's distinguished by the ease he has, even today, to interrupt the cycling of other teams in Canadian territory, and being able to count on a defender like this is essential for a team that wants to win the Stanley Cup. We, for example, on the Canucks, have Alex Edler who excels in this department, and when he's not in uniform, it's day and night. Believe me, when it starts to spin fast in your own zone and you have a big teammate who can cut the streak, frankly, it's worth gold. It makes you able to get out of your own zone faster and gain the opponent's area faster as well. This, in my opinion, is the greatest quality of Shea Weber, and if I refer to Alex Edler once again, yes, he has slowed down, but I know if the Canucks don't re-sign him at the end of the year, they will be making a big mistake. Okay, that's a big thing I just saw right now. Wow, okay. So, Roussel's on the bring back Edler train then, okay? Ooh, interesting. The article then goes over ice time and talks about what Antoine Roussel brings up as to whether or not you should reduce Shea Weber's ice time. We also have comments made from Jack Hahn, who is that former Toronto Marlies assistant coach behind Sheldon Keefe and a guy who worked in the Maple Leafs organization. He had himself a few comments to say as well, talking about how he believes Jeff Petrie should play 25 minutes, and under these conditions, Shea Weber can still face the best opposing elements. This is what Dan Lacroix says about Shea Weber. He is the former Canadiens assistant coach. Coaches know full well when a player slows down. In my opinion, if Shea Weber is still playing this much, sometimes he gets played more than 25 minutes a game, it's simply because the other options on the team aren't upgrades. Young people develop slowly and must be really mature to be given increased responsibilities to the standard that Shea Weber is already performing at, and the other veterans may not have the profile to take on all those minutes. Going back to what Jack Hahn said, he believes that the problem with Shea Weber is mostly just the guys he plays with. Because according to Hahn, Weber is that guy who is really good with his positioning, but he's not really super active with the puck. So for sure, putting him with somebody like Joel Edmondson, who isn't really a big puck handler or a big skater himself, is not really helping Weber. Even Antoine Roussel says the same thing. Shea Weber has never been recognized as a great skater. He's never been a puck-carrying guy. He was never a PK Subban. He's not some spectacular guy going to punch you out, but he has always been an impeccably positioned fullback. Probably defender. It's translated from French into English, so the translation might not be the best. He's effective defensively and with a big, I'm going to say, reach instead. He still masters these three facets today, in my opinion. And all these factors lead Jack Hahn to suggesting that Shea Weber should play with Victor Mete, and at the time of recording this video, Mete is still on waivers. I don't know if he has gotten claimed. If he has, then we'll make another video about that when I wake up, because of course we have to, but Mete and Weber kind of had success together, and it's kind of interesting to see why, because stylistically I think they complement each other very nicely. Antoine Roussel also goes out there and he brings up PK Subban, because if you take a look at how Shea Weber has been performing, Roussel brings up the idea that Canadiens fans just aren't really appreciating Weber for what he can do, because if you had PK Subban, he believes people would boo him even more instead. Because Subban has always been a super dynamic offensive guy, especially when he takes the puck in his own zone, in the neutral zone, or in the offensive zone, but recently that's kind of faded away from his game. He's not really the same guy that went to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2017 than he is today with the Devils. Granted, he's better this year than he was last year, but still PK Subban has taken a decline. So Antoine Roussel brings up the idea that I know in Montreal people denigrate more and more Shea Weber, but it's often the case when we have something or someone in our life for a long time. I don't believe Habs fans really appreciate him right now. PK has also slowed down. Apart from this year where he seems to have a certain revival, it was far from being all flames in recent seasons. Imagine how people would have booed him in Montreal. Antoine Roussel then goes over a few more things with the media and how we perceive things and all that, but I think it's really interesting just discussing Shea Weber in the current landscape today, because when you take a look at how the Habs lose, when they lose, sometimes things can be really bad. Now, they have the odd one-goal loss once in a while, but when this team loses, usually it looks really bad, and as a result, when you take a look at who it is to blame for all of these things, of course, you ask the captain first. You ask the guy at the top of the ship manning the ride. Okay, what went wrong here? Why did this team underperform? And you have Shea Weber going out there giving his comments because, of course, he's the captain. He has to do that. And I think a lot of Canadiens' frustration gets vented towards Shea Weber, kind of in a weird way. I mean, I don't want to say it's unjustified, because there are certainly some aspects of the game where Shea Weber does not bring what we know Shea Weber is capable of bringing. But again, when it comes to overall playing and how exactly he does, I think the partner thing does make a lot of sense. I think Jack Hahn has a good point that playing Weber with Edmondson isn't really the most involved kind of move, because they both play similarly and there isn't really a guy to rush the puck out. Meanwhile, Shea Weber's practicing with Brett Kulak now, so we'll see how that goes, if that goes down later tonight against Toronto. But talk to me in the comments what you think about Shea Weber, Antoine Roussel coming over here, giving his comments, talking about Alex Edler too. Interesting comparisons over there. I know this was mostly branded as a Canucks Habs video, but it's mostly Canadiens focused, so if you're a Canucks fan kind of angry at me for luring you here into a Canadiens video, then I apologize for that. But if you want a chance to be featured in the next Vancouver Canucks video, comment down in the comment section below Moto, because Alex Edler played in Moto before he went over to the Kelowna Rockets system. And if you want a chance to be featured in the next Canadiens video, comment down in the comment section below Kelowna Rockets. And it's kind of funny because Kelowna Rockets, they played Edler as well, so there's a little bit of a link there. But of course, the link is Shea Weber played with the Kelowna Rockets, so if you want your chances to be featured then please leave those comments. Plus, try not to put them in the same comment. I don't want to copy and paste similar comments in different videos. I'd like to keep things separate, so pick your poison. Moto if you want to be featured in the Canucks one, Kelowna Rockets if you want to be featured in the next Canadiens one. Also, talk to me in the comments what you think in general about this whole idea here. I hope you enjoyed this video. Rolls 99, and bye.